Hi there, my name is Nathan, and this is Welcome to the Human Experience. And today I'm joined by the lovely Diana. She also goes by our artist name of Lady Lunar Star.
Yep.
And we actually met like a week ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And me and my partner and my little boy, we'd gone to an arts and crafts fair at this farm park, and you happened to be doing the event basically.
Yep.
And I came across your stall.
Yep.
And I was like, what is this? So basically with that name, you was telling me like, yeah, I'm Lady Lunar Star and I do psychic art.
Yep.
Amongst other things. So yeah, just to start off with, like, oh, thanks for joining me.
Of course,
That's
thanks
really
for having
nice.
me.
Yeah,
I appreciate
really
it.
nice. And
It's
like
lots
I
of
say,
fun.
we've like just connected through that.
Yeah.
What is psychic art?
Okay, so I basically just get into like a channeling mode, even very naturally while creating art. I feel like when you get into that, what they call the flow state, while you're kind of creating art or doing your videos or, you know, anything creative, kind of gets you closer to God in that flow state. So those things just kind of come naturally to me. So I do kind of get into that state, do some channeling, set an intention, you know, what do I need to learn today from my art? You know, what kind of messages can I learn from my art while I'm doing this?
Yeah.
And then I kind of just start painting. I don't have a game plan. Okay, I don't have a preconceived idea. I'm not like, I'm gonna start with blue and then we'll just see what happens. No, I have no plan.
Yeah.
I literally go in blind.
Yes.
And that's a lot of how I do most of my work, is going in blind. And I think that's because my intention is to learn something. So if I'm saying, okay, I want to learn something, and then I'm not going in blind, I'm putting up mental blocks already.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really about just going into that state and just letting things come out.
Yeah.
I'm not judging it. I'm not like trying to control it. If I am getting too controlling while I'm channeling my art, I get course corrected. Like, hey, relax.
Yeah.
Or no, that you're correcting that shape incorrectly. Stop it.
Okay.
Relax.
Okay. And that's like an intuition, would you say? Yeah, that's allowing that to take over.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm clairaudient, so I hear my spirit team very clearly. I also feel them when they're like,
Sorry, so just explain that a little bit, because I know nothing about this kind of world.
Okay.
Of like, what is that then? The clairaudient.
Clairaudient means that you can hear very clearly.
Okay.
So like, and there's different levels to clairaudience. The best way I can explain it is sometimes clairaudience will come in as like a thought in between your own thoughts. So like it might be a thought that interrupts your thought.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's your spirit team.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Okay.
It could also be like you can actually physically hear it. So like for me, it is that interrupting of thought with another thought, but it's also very specific words that I can hear. So it kind of varies. There's different levels to it.
Yeah.
But that's how I know they're course correcting me. And then I'm also clear feeling. So I can literally feel them like leaning over me, like trying to correct me.
Wow.
So
it's strong.
It is very strong. Yeah, it's very strong. So yeah, once I get into that flow state, it's really just about letting the art be what the art wants to be.
Okay.
So kind of like Bob Ross, if you've ever watched Bob Ross paint.
Yes.
He's an American artist, right?
He does the landscapes.
He does the landscapes.
Yeah.
So my little joke I like to say is like, imagine Bob Ross, but he's painting the astral instead of Alaska.
Wow.
Okay.
I like that.
It's very much the same thing. Yeah. It's very much the same thing.
Yeah.
So like where he's like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna put this mountain down. I'm like, oh, oh, I feel this major blockage. Okay, now I'm gonna paint where this blockage is. Okay, now what? Then all of it starts coming in, and I'm like, okay, this blockage is about this.
Yeah,
okay, and it looks like this, and there are 5 people tied to it.
Wow.
You know, and like, you just like kind of like draw. It's like drawing a map almost a little bit. But then as it kind of like progresses, and we start talking about it, because usually my art, I talk to people about what's happening, and they learn while we're painting and I'm drawing. So once that starts happening, then it develops into like a deeper painting. So that's why you get like a little sketch, kind of like this, turning into like a full-blown painting.
Yeah, and just explain what is that? Is that your interpretation from something or of someone?
Yes. This would be from someone.
Someone, okay.
Yes, in specific. And this would be, again, someone that deals with a lot of frustration. But the frustration isn't always negative, but they interpret it as always being negative.
Yeah.
The frustration is also like their internal fire, like that get up and go, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
It's the same energy. They're just interpreting it wrong.
Yeah.
So then what would happen is I'm feeling gung-ho, I'm ready to go, but then things are not coming to me in the way that I expect. And then I'm like, the energy inside of me is gung-ho, but then everything else reflecting back to me is creating these frustrations. And so that's why, again...
Is that like the block then?
Yes.
Is that the block that you're
basically,
saying?
yeah.
They feel that way, but it's not happening like that.
It's not happening like that. And so then we have like the bubbles, which is if you've ever experienced like steam in water. So it's the water plus the fire creates the bubbles and the steam. Volcanic vents is another way to really describe this energy. Yep. So again, it's just about like learning how to balance that energy out so that it's not so volatile. Because people who deal with this tend to be extreme. They might even feel like they're a little bit bipolar in my experience. So that's why I kind of like, again, look at what the energy actually is, how to properly interpret it, how they're interpreting it so that I can help clear that mental block. And then again, just kind of see the artwork evolve from there. So like a couple months later, they might get homework and we go back and we do another drawing and then it's like, oh yeah, everything's balanced out now. This is so great. You know, really seeing what was happening made a huge difference.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, it's very much a channeling process that you can visually see happen in real time.
Yeah, and what do you call that for people that are seeing that? What if I come to you, what are you presenting me with? What do you call this?
As far as like,
what is this piece like to them?
This would be an energy sketch for people. It's just supposed to be super quick. It's not supposed to be super gorgeous. Okay, that's the paintings later on. But yeah, this would just be a quick sketch just to kind of get a visual representation of what's going on.
And you were saying people, obviously when you was at the craft fair, they can approach you directly. But you could also do that with them over a call, over a video call or something like that, or an audio call.
So I have clients that are still in America today. We're on different continents. So it still works that way as well. I'm probably a little bit more comfortable doing remote work because people can be in their own space. They feel safer in their own space. They're not worried about other people walking by or, maybe being in a new place they've never been before, maybe.
It's hard to be open in a public kind of.
It's hard to be open. So my clients tend to feel better at home. In their own room, in their own space, with their own blankets. Their cuddly teddy, whatever. I'm like, bring a drink, like bring tea, like be relaxed, like wear your pajamas, like that's what you're supposed to do. That's kind of the environment that I kind of like aim for is like, don't worry, don't stress, be by yourself. This is you time. And that really works for them. So.
And just tell me a little bit while you're holding that one up, what is being represented a little bit there with that client?
So this one in particular, what had to do with mediumship. So this person was really struggling with their mediumship skills in understanding what is good, what is bad. You know, what spirits don't I want to talk to, what spirits do I want to talk to,
Okay.
how can I tell the difference? You know, even trying to confirm who they're working with currently was tricky for them because they would get interrupted a lot.
Yeah.
Like the interrupted thought. They would get
Yeah.
interrupted by like 3 thoughts. And so it's at the same time almost.
Yeah.
So it was very tricky.
Uh-huh.
So I pulled this one out because for them it was less about a lesson and more about like getting a confirmation of like,
Yeah.
yes, this is real. Yes, this is happening. You know, this is, you literally saw me with no context beforehand, hand draw this in real time for you.
Yeah.
And this is what came through. And you know exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the times too, my clients will come in blind. Again, coming in blind is great.
Yeah, that's good. More
Because
open.
that's how you let things actually come
they're
in.
not coming to you with a problem as such.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah,
Sometimes you do need a really specific thing answered and sorted. Sometimes you really do.
Yeah.
So
So it depends. It depends.
it depends, which is why all of these look so different.
Yeah.
So like this person had a lot of spiritual healing they were working with, but they weren't letting go emotionally appropriately. So like they had like this backlog channel of all like this Reiki and like quantum healing and like all of this stuff like in the queue.
Yeah.
Waiting for them.
Yeah.
But they were so terrified of like purging it out.
Yes. Yes.
And
Going on
so,
that journey, yeah.
because they're like, I don't understand. I've had all this healing done. I don't feel any better. Like, I feel more anxious. I feel more depressed. I feel more upset. I feel more out of sorts. And it's like, okay, honey, you need to like set 5 minutes aside and purge.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, cut yourself off and purge.
Yeah.
And that made like the hugest difference. They were like, I just thought none of it was working. Like, I just was about ready to throw in the
release that.
towel. Yeah. Because no, again, people are not walking people through the door of the shadow work appropriately, like we discussed a little bit off camera before.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're getting all these tools and you're doing all this work, but certain people haven't gone to the depths, so they don't know how to get you out of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
you spoke about the shadow side being as important as this whole.
Yeah.
I described it as like a positive spiritual movement.
Yeah.
That it's not acknowledging the other side.
No.
Yeah, of the more darker side.
Yeah.
But it's not saying we're going to deal with that as in we want to encourage it. We're just dealing with it to acknowledge it, maybe.
It needs to be acknowledged and
Yeah.
it needs to be seen.
Yeah.
And it needs to be visually represented. And even
whether we like it or not.
whether we
kind of
like it or
thing.
not,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
yeah.
clearly there.
Yeah, yeah,
okay, you
yeah.
might as well learn how to deal with
Nice,
it.
nice.
So,
Yeah. What I love with your work
Yeah.
is that it's giving someone, I imagine, you can tell me this after, I was going to say what your clients get is like, you're getting a visual representation of how you feel and what needs maybe confirming to you.
Yep.
But you're also holding on to that, like as in you can have that with you
Yep.
after you've created it for them.
Yep.
And they can maybe refer to that again
Yep.
and
Yep.
just really understand it. Yeah?
Really understand it, really work with it. A lot of people keep my art in sacred spaces. You know, they might have make their own little room.
Nice.
And they're like, okay, this really made a huge difference for me. Now I know how to purge. I know how to set time aside for myself, at least 5 minutes. Okay, you don't need 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't need an hour
Yeah.
to meditate. Just 5 minutes,
Whatever
10 minutes.
yeah,
You know,
whatever,
it can be that short. And a lot of people won't tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, they're like,
so rigid in
Yeah.
practice.
yep. So it's kind of like, you know, you get to keep these things. You get to use them. You can put them on bags. You know, you can put them on
actually
T-shirts.
Have them on show kind of thing.
You know, however, people have them on pillows because they're setting the intention. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah.
This is gonna activate. Okay, and then they start seeing. Okay, this artwork is now saying something completely different than it was in the beginning. And they're coming back to me and telling me this, not me.
Yeah.
Okay, they've learned the lesson, and now they're saying now the art is saying something different.
Wow.
So it's that as well. It's kind of an anchor for kind of solidifying any of these lessons that you're trying to learn. Which is why, you know, really walking people through and not being afraid of the heavy stuff, you know, is important.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to be stuck there forever. You know, and that's not what I want.
No.
And I know some people will shut the door on you because you are carrying that heavier energy. They may avoid you because they don't want to deal with your heavy energy.
I see that as whether you're ready within yourself to face up to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But sometimes you are, and you're trying to get help, but it's like I cannot tell you the number of people I've gone to that I've tried to get some help for even myself, and it's been like closed door, closed door, closed door, closed door, closed door.
Because they don't want to deal with
you.
Saying,
they don't want to deal with you. Like you're too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is too much. This is beyond me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but this is where I get a little bit mad because I'm like, that is exactly what you are meant to do. Is to help people out of the dungeon. Like help people out of the darkness. Like help people out of the crap. You know what I mean? And like now you're refusing to do it because it's too much. Like,
no, I understand what you're saying there. It can't be just I'm helping you to like, and I said that about, oh, I want success in my life, so help me get success. It's like, no, I might just help you get to the level of being able to cope with, like you said, your thoughts there, or out of your depression. So yeah, you're not going to become some, I don't know, miracle worker in terms of doing that and being something.
Exactly. But yeah, it's one of those things too where, you know, if you are in that space, even asking for help is a big deal. And then to have that door kind of just close on you every time is really difficult. It's unfortunate that has to be that way.
So as well as these energy, sorry to interrupt you there, with the energy sketches, what else would you do for people? Because you said how you do readings, right? And you'll do other kind of things with the cards, with your cards,
So because my artwork is already channeled, there's already readings in them. That's part of the process. But 9 times out of 10, I don't necessarily need cards in order to do the reading. Because it's very energetic for me. But yeah, I also understand that other people need those tools because of the way that people have come back to me and said, oh, this artwork is talking to me even more now than it did before. That's when I've started to kind of go in and say, okay, well, now the art, I know I'm channeling correctly. I know it's being helpful to people. So now the art is going to help other people who maybe don't want to work with me directly, but maybe still want to kind of like get some insight from the energies that I do channel. And that's where kind of the decks come in. It's kind of an additional way to kind of receive that information and kind of do your own work past what I've kind of given you.
Like you say, I get what you're saying there. It's additional to what you've given them.
Yeah, it's additional. And other people that have, you know, gotten the sketches really enjoy the fact that, you know, their energy comes into the deck, you know? So when you look here, like the card is there. So they get to kind of, you know, when they are then, I feel like I'm like the prep work for all the readers, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, or like how do I even explain this? I feel like I am the aid to the readers, if that makes sense. Because, and this is where, again, that
you're
shadow.
allowing them to do what they're going to do anyway, but you're just helping them to facilitate
I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm validating how they work. That's why I work with so many different kinds of energies and deities and everything like that, because I don't care. Okay, I'm here to help you.
Nice.
And I'm here, if you're reading and you're helping other people, that means I just helped all those other people too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like being the assistant to the people that read cards. And so then when these people come and they get the reading, now this card, whereas maybe they might have mentally associated with it differently before, now they know the whole story behind this card.
Ah, yes.
Instead of just, oh, the booklet told me that it's this.
Yeah, it's a deeper understanding of it.
It's like having a spiritual Rolodex in front of you. Like you have lived this card.
Yeah.
You have lived it. And that one, that just flew away.
We'll grab it. We don't want to lose them.
It's all right. You have lived it, you know? And so that makes your spiritual Rolodex, because I look at the Akashic records as being like a Rolodex, you know, what do I need? What energy am I looking for? Okay, you pull it down, you hold it there, you read it. This makes a whole lot difference because you have a physical, real world attachment to it as well. And that's where I think some of the readers struggle, is they know how to do this, but then where in your life is that connected?
Yeah, is that, yeah.
And so they might pull from people that they know, or videos that they've watched, or situations that they've seen. But as far as like pulling it from real life experience, that's kind of missing in a lot of readers from what I've seen and what I've personally experienced. Is not saying that they're wrong. You know, I would never say that, but people can only pull from their own experience and their own Rolodex.
Yeah, and if you've actually helped them
and
to
if I've
live
actually
it
helped,
be in it, then they're gonna,
then they're, exactly. So it's not discounting anybody or saying that they're doing it wrong. It's just my job is to make it go deeper.
Yeah, wow.
Like it's the deeper healing, it's the deeper story, it's the longer road. Okay, the longer road to get there.
Straight road,
but it's definitely, that's what I feel like
you need to go through or need to experience.
That's what I feel like, because of all the different lives and traumas and disappointments and changes I've gone through in my life. I'm a Scorpio. And one of my deities is of the underworld. So they deal with a lot of Pluto energy, which is a lot of death, destruction, rebuilding, you know, just change. You learn a lot really fast when your whole life disintegrates in front of your eyes in like 5 minutes. You learn a lot really fast. And I feel like my whole life has happened that way up until this point, even, because that's what I'm here to kind of show and teach and guide people with is, okay, I've dealt with a lot of stuff in my life. That means I know a lot of wisdom, and I've had a lot of lessons, and I have a lot of experiences in my Rolodex already, whereas maybe some other people don't. So for me then to then assist the most people, I'm assisting the people that already know a little bit about channeling and reading and helping them kind of go a little bit deeper in that so they can actually help more people.
That's lovely. So tell me a bit more about your art and your commissioned work, to say what you can do for people. Do you know what I mean? Because people are very much like, okay, how can you help me? And I know that seems selfish, but it's part of your work anyway, isn't it? Helping people.
It is,
What kind of things can people come to you for and ask for? You know, as well as these energy sketches, what can they have? You said about the paintings, because we haven't brought one, but you do big.
I do big paintings, I got,
nice.
I did bring some of them. This is upside down. But this one is Angelic Fae. Okay, so these would be not up here angels, like earthly angels would be my interpretation of like Angelic Fae. They also are more geared towards nature. So again, like I would almost put flowers in the same category because they are very energetically similar. But you could get all kinds of crazy with this, okay? Because there's so many, there's more than probably I could ever describe. Because all people are different, all energies are different. The only other way I could maybe explain it is like the Native Americans will talk about the spirit of everything. That's kind of what I channel, the spirit of everything.
Yeah, so just
And
endless.
It's literally endless.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of tell people, like, whatever energy you're drawn to is your energy.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so if you're drawn to dragons, okay, there's a reason. Dragons are
Yeah.
really powerful, but they can also be really intimidating. They can also be, they also can be a wide range of them, so they can be very heavy and they can be very light.
Yeah.
So there's probably an easy transition there for you in that energy. So it really just depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my work is so bespoke and specific. It really is about what each individual person needs. Because like I said, I feel like I'm mostly here to help the people that are already kind of attuned, but are really struggling to find out, you know, the transition of things.
Yes.
Or, you know, the soul connections that they have with people.
Yeah.
Or like the karma that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like my main role is to help people who are already in tune.
Yes.
And are struggling somehow, and they can't figure it out.
Okay. So yeah, you were touching on what I was going to ask you next.
Yeah.
You're saying, how did you get into this? And
Yeah.
obviously, that's the thing. I feel you're such a deep person.
Yep.
That you're saying, like, okay, I can tell you how I did this as becoming an artist, but it's deeper than that.
It's way deeper than that.
With what I've come from.
Yep.
So if you don't mind, you know, telling us a little bit about that, like, what kind of things, you don't have to be specific, but what have you been through that has led you to this direction, you know, of even just before becoming the artist and stuff?
Yep. So I have always been an artist, and I've always been spiritual. Like, those two things have always been there my entire life.
Wow.
I have always known that I am a volunteer soul to be here. I'm not from Earth. Okay, I've always known that from day one.
And so that has come from, you would say, what would you say? I would say maybe the source, yeah?
The
or
source,
you want to say.
yes. My relationship with God has always been there and always been super strong. And I've always known I've come here with a mission, and that has never been a question for me at all in my entire life.
Okay.
So that is definitely the number one thing that started everything was, okay, I'm now on planet Earth. I know I have a mission. Being human is really weird. And how do I navigate that? And what then am I supposed to do with, you know, my gifts, and like kind of learning how to then be me. How does me being me help other people?
Yeah.
That's really been the whole key to this whole thing.
Okay.
So obviously when you're a kid, you know, you're still developing who you are.
You're not understanding all of that.
You're not understanding how to be a human even, and the other humans don't really know how to be human either. And so it's like
playing at it.
They're all like, your guess is good as mine.
Yeah, I go to work or I go to school.
Yeah, I go to work, I go to
beyond that.
Yeah, but what and then being from a family who, you know, has financial difficulties, has addictions. Rural Indiana is very much known for alcoholism and drugs, and
even
you know,
I've heard that, and I'm from England.
And it's because they're out in the middle of nowhere. Like what it's just, what other recreational activities do you have? If you don't appreciate nature around you, you don't think it's
created that.
Yep. So being from that kind of environment, and just also kind of, I've always been very open about me being able to see things and hear things and seeing aliens and like, Mom, the aliens are talking to me. Like, you know, I always told her all of these things. And then my mom's great. I love my mom. She's amazing, because she would always tell me, like, you know the truth. You know the truth.
Yeah,
I'm not here to tell you. Nope, never. She never did that. God bless my mom. She never.
She was quite open for you to,
Yep,
explore.
she was. So that made me feel even more confident as a kid, because
Brilliant.
I've told my mom this crazy thing. She's okay with it. So it must be a thing.
Yeah, nice.
But then it was about learning how to engage with other people. because when you can see someone's trauma literally sitting in front of them and you want to help them and they feel like they want help, sometimes you start just like talking to them about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because
it's too much for them.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that lesson too, of just because I can see it and just because they look like they want help doesn't mean they want it to come from me.
Yeah.
Like in that moment.
Yeah.
So in my early, you know, 10 years old to 15, I had to really learn. People don't necessarily want to know.
They're not going to appreciate.
They know.
Yeah.
And they think that you're judging them when you're not.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that lesson, of course. And then as I was kind of in my 20s, like university, it was kind of like the reset.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's kind of like the spiritual reset of everything. Like, what did I learn? What's working for me? What's not working for me? Who do I want to be? Okay, let's change it from how do I want to serve other people to who do I want to be?
Nice.
Because at this point now, me trying to do everything else for everyone else isn't really working.
Yeah.
So I needed to focus back on me, and that's when Lady Lunastar came to be.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. And that would have been about 2012.
Yes.
2011, 2012, when Lady Lunastar showed up.
Yeah.
And at first it was very much just, I paint what I want to paint. It was very galactic. So I was painting a lot of you know, the universe and planets and things far out there that I remember, but you know.
Just go back a little bit for me, because you went to art school, right?
I did.
And then you said to me when I was at the craft fair, that was interesting, you were like, you was going more for the kind of, you know, typical, was it like real life paintings or stuff like that?
Because I was in art school, there was art school artist Diana, and then there was Lady Lunastar, who just I don't care about rules. I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of both at that time when I was in university, because obviously you want to do well, you want to pass, you want to get your degree, you want to take that degree, you know, out into the world and use it practically. But the more that...
So there's a bit of a conflict there, yeah?
It was a bit of a conflict.
Like academic side and the more free...
Yep, the more free spirit kind of thing. Free spirit won.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. So do you think the school could have done more for you? Because at the end of the day, you're doing art.
Yeah.
And surely art should be the most open expression ever, yeah? Like...
Yeah.
That's what the point of it is. We don't want to all draw the same thing. Or,
Yeah.
So what do you think they're missing there? What is that? Is that to do with society? Is that old structure of education?
For me, I think society has a lot of check marks and checkpoints and criteria. And I can understand how that's needed to a certain extent.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, you know, it's that rebel spirit as well. You know what I mean? At some point in time, you have to just say, that rule's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
nice.
I don't think that is a bad reflection on society. I do think that it's necessary, because there are people that will, you know, wiggle around it if they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So I definitely think rules are necessary, but it is up to the individual to decide within their own soul, is that actually a stepping stone for me, or is it a barrier?
Yeah, nice.
And for me, this is now becoming a barrier, because now even I feel like my art has to reach this certain standard to be appreciated. And at that point, I was like, I don't necessarily want to be appreciated. I want to do my mission.
Yeah.
And so
that's so good that you stayed on track there.
Yeah.
Because that could have been a moment how I feel, because I spoke to my friend in a previous episode about art. Yeah. And I'm not saying this is his thing, but he wanted to find his style, his whatever. But I think he would agree with this, that there's a little bit of compromise in there, because once you find something that gives external validation, you kind of sometimes go with that because it's like, oh, so and so's buying this piece, and I need to make a living. So why not just do it? Do you know what I mean? But you're kind of diluting your own artistic expression sometimes.
Yep. And for me, it's less about it being like realistic and pretty. It's more about what the story is behind it. Like this image, you could have your artistic opinion, okay? It's a sketch, okay? It takes 30 minutes, okay? This is not, I realize this is not going to get sent into a gallery, okay? It is not that kind of quality. But that's,
I would argue with that.
That's also not its purpose.
That's
also not its purpose.
Okay.
With the paintings, of course, that kind of does come in a bit more. You know, I do take more time with it. It does have a longer relationship to develop. I am much more specific on the technicalities of it because I do want it to look nice. But as far as like a sketch goes, like there's...
I was going to say, I think though that yes, in that realm of academics and technical ability, it might not go into your typical gallery. But this is where I think, like you said, if people don't just say that rule's not for me, then maybe there's a spiritual gallery and that works perfectly fine, if you get what I mean.
Exactly.
Because it's its own niche or whatever.
And I have always, since Lady Luna Star became a thing in 2012, I've always said I'm not for everyone. Like when I go to the art shows and I put my art up, I tell people, like, I realize it's not going to be loved by everybody. Maybe that's the point.
I was gonna
maybe they're the ones that need my art the most. You know what I mean? Like, because I know people sneer, and I know people are like, "Oh, I could have done that. What even is that?" You know, like the questions come up, and people are just like,
but that's a projection.
Just don't get it.
Them to themselves. Do you get me? Of saying like what's good enough and what's not good enough. That's a judgment. And we all should know that, even from religious scripture or teachings, that you shouldn't judge. Because you're pointing the finger back at yourself, really. You know, of saying, why is it a judgment? Why is it not good enough? And it's really themselves probably saying they're not good enough. And not accepting your openness to it.
And then I usually show them. What one do I show them? Usually I'm like, oh, you should see this one. So when they
why?
Because I usually find stuff pretty humorous, and I do like to kind of play naive. Like I don't know people are ripping on me. I tend to like play the
wait till you see this kind of thing.
So I'm like, oh, you thought this was crap? You should see this one. And then but they don't understand.
Nice.
They don't understand. So the back of this one says child energy. So like in a way, I still am trying to work with them, whether or not they realize it. And that can also be difficult. Like that can be difficult for me to even deal with, like, because my child thinks the same thing. Like, I get it. I get you. I get where you're coming from. I understand. But at the same time, like, I'm still going to challenge you. And that's where I feel like a lot of spiritual people, like, miss that opportunity, miss that gateway, miss that learn with them. You know what I mean? Like, that's trigger. That is triggering to me. It is. I get it. Okay, people come by, I'm really lovey, I'm really bubbly, you know, and I'm like, this is what I do, isn't it really cool? And like my inner child's like, this is amazing, I've been wanting to do this my whole life.
You understand that. You understand what's giving off.
And then for people to like come in and like crap on it or like criticize it or just not understand it or like condescending or like, we don't have a connection. Like, you know, just... Okay, you should see this one. You should see this one.
I understand.
And this, like I said, this one in particular is child energy. And so, like, again, people that will come in and like say, well, a child could have done that.
That's what I'm aiming for.
Maybe the children are supposed to do that. Maybe you're supposed to learn to not be so judgmental about the children who are literally connected to the divine so strongly. Maybe you just need to accept it.
And the way I'd say that, because I like to use an analogy or metaphors for different things in life, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's to say, I have a 3-year-old boy, and he can teach me stuff now. Do you get me? So
Yep.
even in that spirit world or the interpretation, they're already connected, like you say.
Yep.
But even in like a, say, a technical way,
Yep.
he can tell me, like, he loves his cars and trucks. And if I say something wrong, he corrects me at 3 years old.
I bet he
No,
does.
Daddy, that's not a digger, that's an excavator. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I have to be humble enough and know that I don't know better. He
Yep.
knows more than I know in
Yep.
certain things, and I'm just more experienced. That's all age has given me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Time to understand more things.
Yeah. It's like,
Doesn't mean I'm better than him.
yeah. It's like age almost gives you like a 3D anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Like to all the spiritual lessons. So like when you're a kid, you're like, whee!
Yeah.
And you're like
Bit more
out here
free.
and you're like, thanks God, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
But you have no experience.
Yeah.
And so like the deeper wisdom you don't
Yeah.
have, and you're
Yeah.
just like, you're blissfully ignorant, okay?
Yeah.
And then like time goes on and you got to learn how to like balance these things. And I
Nice.
feel
The
like,
balance, yes.
I feel like Lady Lunastar does that really well and
Nice,
allows me
nice.
to do that really well and allows other people to do that really well. And so like you were saying, the wisdom, like you get to learn as well, but
Yeah.
you have more 3D spiritual wisdom that comes in by the experience that children don't have.
Yeah.
So there is
Yeah.
like a balance to everything with
Yeah.
that. So
I have to say, I admire your strength and conviction in sticking to what you want to do and
Yeah.
what you know is true to you, because like I say, regardless of people's judgments or how you were at art school of like, this is not it in their world, you just stuck with it and went for it. And therefore I think that makes it even more authentic, more true. And that's what I respected in seeing your stall, because we were at an arts and crafts place. And not to be, again, I'm not discounting people's things. Like you say, rules are there for things. But some of the crafts were very generic. Like I've seen that. Like, I get you can knit a whatever it is, you know, a scarf in a pretty pattern. Like, I get that. But like, what would you do if you could just break the rule book? And that's what I felt you were doing. Not that you are, but
and
to people.
For me, it's why? What is the purpose? What is your why?
For your thing,
I mean, just for creative people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What is your why?
Nice.
Why?
Yeah. Why are you
What is your purpose? Because,
nice.
and I will say this for my whole life. Okay. If you don't have a why, and you don't have a purpose, you don't love it. Sorry.
You
don't
you're just
you
doing
can't,
something for the sake of doing it, maybe.
You can't love it if you don't have a why. And don't get me wrong, your why can be, oh, it makes me really relaxed while I'm on the sofa. That's a great why. I'm like, the why doesn't have to be
a massive
It's
changing
just,
the world thing.
No. It's just for me. That's what it is. So it can be different for everybody else.
And what I'd say for the knock on there is, if you're looking after yourself by being relaxed, that ripples out to, you probably have your family, you have your friends. And if you're relaxed, you're a more calmer influence on your environment and world around you. And it does eventually impact,
it does.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So just, I want to go over things for people that are curious about what you're doing. Is how can they get in contact with you? How can they see some of your work?
Well, I have a website. It is www.ladylunastar.com. Super easy. Once you know my name, you can find me anywhere.
And I'll put up a screenshot of that homepage.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And you have I follow you on Instagram.
Yep.
That is Lady Lunastar.
Yep.
How's that typed out? Was that underscore?
Usually I do underscores for spaces.
In between,
so it's usually
the
Lady _ Luna _ Star.
Yes.
Because it just visually makes more sense.
Okay.
Than having it all slurred together.
And just say again, you explain what some of the art is represented there, but for people listening, why, and they're thinking of, wow, I would love this interpreted for myself. What kind of things are people coming to you for? And I know it can probably be endless, but give them an idea of what
it can be endless.
Channel.
I've done spirit guides, so this would be a spirit guide. So I can do your spirit guide. It can be any type of spirit guide. It can be an ancestor. It can be galactic. It can be, you know, fae, dragons, aliens, plants. Plants love to talk. It can be animals, spirit animals, Native Americans, you know, it can be, you know, ents, you know, even fantastical beasts can come in, you know, that just fantasy kind of energies can come in because they're still tied to something, and we can understand them a bit deeper. So really, it can be anything. Some people have asked for like soul contracts to understand the connection of soul contracts. This one in specific is twin flame.
Yes. Is that to do with a relationship, or is that like a sibling or something? What is that?
This is a energetic relationship that has not come into the 3D.
Okay.
The 3D is very tricky to come in because of lack of energetic boundaries and a lot of emotional turmoil kind of coming into the circle again and again and again in the system to kind of like purge and clean. But that's not coming. These people are struggling with that. And so in order for you to get closer to meeting in the 3D, if that is in the contract, you need to deal with that energy. And so for these people, I was kind of walking them through that. Like, it's one-sided. The green energy is the one-sided, like, love. And so that is what's making the whole thing out of balance. It's almost like infatuation from one side, and the other side is not even aware. Like, you can't really expect much from that kind of connection. So we need to kind of heal that and figure out, you know, why it's so one-sided. Like, are you idealizing someone? You know, do you need to maybe heal some of that? You know, what's wrong in your current relationship?
Basically, what are you maybe neglecting the other aspect of yourself?
Like if you're already in a relationship, what's wrong in that relationship that you feel that you need to go to this other idolized energy? You know what I mean? Like, but it is an actual
maybe or something.
But these are really tricky because it's an actual physical exchange as well, and people get very confused. So that's what this is for, is to kind of explain that. And I'm very good at explaining why things are happening, what kind of energy is coming through and moving through the body. It can get very complicated. Relationships can be very complicated, but I'm like super good at drawing it out.
Nice.
Kind of
you know, saying
navigating.
as well though at the arts and crafts there, of like I was saying to you in that little conversation that we had, to say that, do you think people are becoming more receptive and more open to this? And the question for you for that is like, do you feel that we need to explore that more in a wider context of a society? Like, do you think we need to explore our spiritual side a bit more?
I think we have to. Like, it is like make or break at this point for so many people. And I feel like, because I've done a reading before about there being 2 earth grids. The other one is collapsing. I think everyone agrees with that. And the new one is kind of set. So all of our grid workers, we love you. Okay, thank you. But at the same time, like, it can be hard to transition. But someone who has transitioned 50 times in their life knows how to get you there. So it's kind of like we need to be trusting in the transition, but it's not comfortable. Like, growing is not comfortable. Transitioning is not comfortable.
It's going to be difficult.
And people who are avoiding those things are going to struggle even more. So it's I feel like I'm channeling a little bit, but it's almost like you have to start doing it in some way or another. You have to start working on yourself in some way or another, or you are really going to hurt. And it's going to be even worse. So it's kind of like, it's already needed now. It's been needed. Okay, we are not the first wave of volunteers that have come to Earth to do this. Okay, we're like 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. I mean, it's been going on forever, but still, like, it's just getting to the point now where there are so many of us humans now on the planet, and the collective as a whole is so heavy that now it's like now or never.
Yeah.
Like it's
Because
either
it's
live
like
in it, continue to
swinging
be
the balance, yeah,
Yep.
to one way or the other.
Yep, like a pendulum.
Yeah.
Like
nice.
eventually
Yeah.
it will balance itself
yeah,
out.
Nice.
But if you don't learn to pivot,
yeah.
you're gonna be miserable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to, that's where people like me come in. Like, okay, here's the pivot.
Yeah.
Here's the homework so you can pivot.
Yeah.
Here's this life lesson so you can pivot. You know, it's just learning how to do that so that, you know, you can manage a better, you know what I mean? Like life is always going to change.
Yeah.
It's just for a lot of us, it's been really small changes for quite some time. And the big changes have kind of been outside of us a little bit.
Yeah.
So our bubble has kind of like protected us
Yeah.
a bit from it.
Yeah.
That won't be much longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's getting to the point now where, and I think that that's why the whole collective is talking about mental health so much.
Yeah.
And why the collective
You
is.
can see the imbalance, you can feel it in
Yeah.
society, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
With me, what I go to is as being a man, obviously, and this is sound a bit silly, but no, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
If I go into the toilets at work, I'm a lorry driver, and when I go in the toilets now, it's the male toilets, obviously, there's these posters, and unfortunately, they're saying about if you need to speak to someone, or they say stuff like facts, like the biggest killer of men under 45 is suicide.
Yeah.
So that to me just rings true. If we're not open as a society to making that big change.
We reject those people. We say you are too much for me, and that is not helping.
Yeah.
That's not helping.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm feeling a little, I'm like, get a little cry at this point. But like, that's where I get so angry. And that's where I'm like, we need to be accepting these people. We need to be, I don't want to say holding people's hands, because that's not how it works. Okay,
Right.
you can't drag someone all the way through the
Yeah.
door. But
we
when
should
they
be
are
more
in a
supportive.
hole,
Yeah.
you can take them out of the hole at least.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, let's at least do that. Let's
Yeah.
get them out of the hole,
Yeah.
get them contacts of the support, you know, walk them, then let them walk themselves through the
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
But we can't say to the person in the hole,
Yeah.
just get out of the hole.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah.
That's not.
Whereas society has been like that, very individualistic and very much, I'm doing better than you.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing as good as me? Or why
Yeah.
can't you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That whole hustle culture.
Yeah.
I got here, so why
Yeah.
can't you get here? But we've
Yeah.
not all come from the same kind of place.
Yeah.
We've not, you know, struggles come to you at different points in
Yep.
time.
Yep.
You know, I remember one, I spoke to my missus about this, and there was a girl, bless her, in my school, and I was doing my GCSEs at 16,
Yep.
and she lost her mum that year. And I was like, wow, like, regardless of your, oh, nice catch. Regardless of the results right now, the biggest thing in her life was losing her mum. Do you get what I mean? So it's not about like, oh, I got A's and B's and C's. It's like, I actually dealt with the loss of my mother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's real life.
Yep. Yeah.
And if she overcome that, she actually got the best results out of any of us in that
Exactly.
year group, because that's very traumatic, do you know what I mean, at that time in life. And you can't pick. So
No.
if that had an effect on her going university or getting a good career,
Yeah.
there was a valid reason. She had
Yep.
something to deal with. That the guy that's telling you, oh, I've become this banker or I've become the success, did
Yeah.
you have that issue then in your life?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
What did you overcome?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough. It's almost like once you are down and out, okay, that's your fault,
Yeah.
and that's not fair. That's not fair, because I've been down and out, and I've had to dig myself out of it every single time.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it at this point. You know, like
Oh, bless you.
honestly, nothing could faze me anymore. I've had a parent survive cancer with a 2% chance to live. You know, while I'm going to university, I've had abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, mentally. I had, my first husband was a drunk, happy drunk, but still a drunk.
Yeah.
You know, just rejected from family, just from what I do, and how I interpret God. Rejected from other spiritual communities because, You know,
You don't fit in with them.
I don't fit in with them.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm not love and light yay all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a serious thing,
Yeah.
and nobody else wants to even look at it.
Wow.
And so we don't get along.
Yeah.
Because usually I push people's buttons.
Yeah.
So a lot of that rejection. Obviously, moving to a different country takes a lot of gumption and just drive to get yourself going.
Of course.
You know,
Of
resetting your entire life at nearly 40
course. Yeah.
and coming to a country with nothing. Literally nothing. No money, nothing.
Yeah.
A suitcase, no money, suitcase. I
Yeah.
spent every dime I had to move here. And
So you're
just
fully committed to that.
yeah,
And then you
even
have to survive.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even that, from nothing to something,
Yeah.
takes a lot of energy and is really difficult. And since I've lived it, I know exactly how to do
Yeah.
these things. You know, I know how to end abusive relationships. I know how to try and work with them as well, you know, in a way that's amicable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you're not consuming more karma onto yourself. You know, you're doing it and ending it in the right way for your peace and their peace. You know, I've dealt with trying to live with people with addictions.
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's not, you know, physically detrimental like my other relationship, it still is detrimental.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, the things that come with that are still, even though it's not physically dangerous, it's still detrimental to the relationship and health of people. So it's learning about that too and navigating it. And when to walk away from things too.
Yeah.
I'm like super good at knowing when to walk away from things. Like, it's because I've had to do it so often. It's either been forced on me because I refuse to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no other option.
Or I finally, you know, got that fire and it's like, okay, yeah, it's time to go now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about learning those kind of things as well.
Yeah.
And I think the next lesson for me is going to be, okay, learning how to stay. Because I've had to get up and get up and get up and like so many times.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me now, it's like, okay, this time you stay.
I love your awareness. And you know what? Saying the things you've just said about your struggles, I would normally say, I'm sorry you had to go through that. But I know this is personal to you, but I'm actually feeling like the beautiful thing about that is you went through that and now you're willing to help other people.
Yes.
And you knew how to get out so you can help other people get out.
Exactly. Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
I'm not saying it's necessary.
No.
I'm not validating the people that have done things to you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, it only created a good thing in you because that was your path anyway.
It did.
Yeah.
I have a resilience unlike anyone else I have ever met, ever. I am literally not afraid of anything.
Yeah, nice.
So that makes me willing to try a lot of things too that I think other people, you know, would not do. But yeah, it's again, knowing from a child that I have a specific mission and just trusting in God the entire time. Like, okay, God, this is an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to help other people with this? Like, how is this helping me? How is this helping the person who's abusing me? How is this helping, you know, my friends who have to like try and support me through this? Like, where's the lesson, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like having that mindset through it all has really helped me.
Yeah, nice.
A lot.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Like I say, well, I really appreciate it. I'm just kind of like finishing up the last few bits to say, really, just to say that if you want to contact Lady Luna Star, then I would definitely recommend it. If this is resonating with you and you're thinking, yeah, I've felt like this, or I could get something from this, then this maybe, I'm hoping that this video is that little kind of push for them to reach out, or at least explore something. It doesn't have to be anything connected to us, but go and explore something for themselves and look into it. And yeah, I just want to say thanks for your time.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate your time.
It's been lovely. I could literally talk all day long, like for real.
Yeah, we definitely could, but we covered a lot of topics. Is there anything you want to add to say about your mission and your movement that you haven't said?
Not really. I just want to reiterate, you know, for those of you who do get readings from people, and it's like a struggle, because I've been there. Just try not to judge people. Try not to say, you know, that reader is not actually reading, because they probably are. Just maybe understand that they are reading from where they understand things.
Okay.
And try and be a little more open to any interpretations that they're trying to share.
Yeah.
Because in my experience, they're not wrong. They're just a little bit off the mark because they don't have the full Rolodex of experience. And that can kind of make the readings miss the mark.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I try and like really like drive home to people is like they're not wrong. They're just didn't resonate with you because it's not quite what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what I would say. Like,
oh, fantastic.
just be a little bit more open.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not resonating, find your person that it resonates, because guarantee you're gonna eventually find them. So.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, anyway, guys, that's it for today. And all I would say to you is have fun on your own spiritual path, and like I say, deal with them dark aspects as well as the light. And yeah, that's all we got time for on Welcome to the Human Experience. Oh, thank you.